Good evening all, welcome along to Leipzig and of course to Partner Preferred. It is of course this amazing equestrian extravaganza here in Leipzig. It has been going now since 1998 and it brings together such a wide variety of all the different aspects of the world of equestrianism. It is a real melting pot here in Germany for so many goings on. But our focus, of course, is the sport, and this week it is a World Cup double. The World Cup driving, the drivers out later tonight, but now here it's the qualifier for the next leg of the Western European. So, to qualify for that and set yourself up in a good position and a good rhythm and pace, you need to go well tonight. And, well, there's a man that's won it on many occasions before, I should say, the World Cup final. And Stig Gerdat, there's a big name from Ireland in the form of Dennis Lynch, but there's big names up and down the start list here this evening, and as you would have anticipated, there's a very strong lineup of riders, of course, from Germany. And there's an Otto Becker out there just pointing his way round. There is Yuri Mansur, the Brazilian who won the championship last year and will be looking for another strong result. The likes of Julien Epillard, world's top 10, a gold medal winner from the Europeans in the middle in the team, Peter de Vos, and also Jérôme Guéry. There is just stars and big names everywhere we look down there on that field of play. Final touches being put to the arena decor as the riders get an opportunity out there to have a little walk around and try and understand the challenge that has been set for them tonight, and it's one they're going to want to work out as quickly as they can because there's over €105,000 in the prize fund. Ludger Bibbum even here as well, of course, the young Irish rider. Kieran Nallen is part of that Bibbum team, riding one of their horses tonight. I'm sure we'll be getting plenty of advice. There is the course designer, the great Frank Rottenberger, who alongside Christian Weingen here tonight has set this track. Time allowed sitting at 72 seconds. And as ever, plenty of questions getting asked. 1 metre 60. 16 different jumping efforts as they work their way around this track, and as is always the case in this sport, you don't get a long time to go out there and work it out. It's one of the things I always find most amazing. It's probably one of, riding horses is a skill, but also being able to go out there and understand all those different questions that are going to be asked of you with a simple walk around the track in the space of about 5 or 10 minutes. I always think is a remarkable skill that the riders have, but it's a remarkable skill that the course designers have, having to understand what is the best way to extract not only great competition but a real challenge for these horses and riders this evening, balancing that across the field. And there's some really experienced horses in there tonight, as well as a few up-and-coming stars. It's always a sort of interesting time of the year, as everyone, in terms of horses anyway, has just got a year older, and we'll see how things balance out. But as I say, tonight there's some really strong horse and rider combinations. There's a very busy arena. It's been a packed house over the course of the day, and let's have a little look at the starting lineup in class a little earlier. There he is at number 7 to go tonight, and of course he had the win here in that €30,000 class a little earlier on. Plenty of talent all the way from Germany. Geir Gulliksen, the Norwegian star, going very well at the moment. Stig Gerdat, one of those inside the world's top 20, and he's followed by one of the best from Japan, the most experienced Iken Sato. Dennis Lynch, Julien Epillard, names that we know and have seen out there. Max Kuhner, Philipp Schulze top off, the young man from Germany, and there's a young Irishman, Kieran Nallen. Keep an eye out for him tonight. Germany, as I say, well represented everywhere, with Patrick Stuhlmeier taking us into the next part of the list. Jérôme Guéry, Peter de Vos, two of the big names from Belgium, and let's not forget Spain as well in there tonight. Victor Bettendorf came close to a win earlier after the form he had in London. Keep an eye out for him tonight. Malin Bayer-Johnson's got the famous Indiana, bless her, is here tonight. Looking forward to that. Gerrit Nieberg is also another who, with ping pong, knows how to win on the big nights and the big occasions. The last to go this evening will be Sami Al-Dahan for Great Britain. It's all building towards Sunday afternoon, of course, where they'll be looking for another helping of points to try and get themselves qualified to go to Fort Worth in Texas come April. That is the venue that they're all looking to qualify for, to go to the World Cup final for 2026. And of course, the man who won the title in Basel in April of last year, the reigning holder, is in the field tonight. Different horse, Julien Epinard, the world number 10, is in the field this evening. He's got easy up to Grand Prix tonight. Of course, he won it on his beautiful Donatella Doge last time out in Basel. Well, the music plays to say I think we're just about good to get underway here this evening. Wherever you're sat, wherever you're joining, it's just great to have you with us live here tonight on FEI TV. It is a absolute delight to have you sat in alongside us wherever you are around the globe. It is a great place to be. This crowd building and building because they know what is to come. It's a big field. There is a total of, what did I say, 50 or so coming forward. Was it just under 50? 49, if I get my maths right, coming forward this evening. To remind you again, that time allowed is set at 72 seconds. We'll see ultimately how much of a role that begins to play here tonight, and you never really can tell until things get started. Going to start with the Italian combination. Antonio Vita Bernardi riding MTM Los Angeles, the 14-year-old gelding by Los Angeles out of a Ragazao mare. Of course, tonight's height's 155. Jumped a few classes now at this height. In fact, jumped a couple at 160, but compared to some in the field tonight, won't be as experienced. They jumped very well, though, down in Villa de Frontera towards the back end of last year, and then had a pretty good run in Salzburg, jumping in these bigger competitions. So, building on that, had that little bit of time off from international duty since the beginning of December, but it allows us now to get a feel for how this course may or may not ride here tonight. So from 2, they're going to loop back round on the inside now, immediately trying to cut the corner a little bit by going through the gap to try and help the time allowed if they need to. 5 strides down there to that very big water tray at 155. Now, triple bar in, 1 stride. So the 7 on the curve. Of course, you've got the plank coming out of that triple bar upright. 1 stride, 8 meters 10. It's 1 meter 70 wide, that triple bar. Combination coming right towards the end, so to speak, of this course. But we're not done yet. That's fence 12. Now they come round and look at this for a final fence. There's little silver birch walls now, those silver birch wings with the big gate hanging in the middle. Now obviously they've left all the fences standing, but they have gone over the time allowed. And she did cut the corner. I mean, what are they going at? 350 tonight. 74.02 was her time, so 3 time is the score. And we'll see if anything adjusts, but I think she'll be happy enough with the way she's got round the course. She'll just be disappointed when she looks at the clock. Of course, the riders that are yet to come will adjust as quick as they can, knowing what that time was. Now, Brian Balsiga, one of the Swiss stars here tonight, C. Mistral, the 12-year-old gelding by C. Mocador out of a Calestis mare. Again, only jumped 4 or 5 classes sort of at this height, but they stepped up to 160 in Basel last week, jumping in the Grand Prix. And that followed off the back of a pretty strong run of shows with this horse. Having gone to Spain, they finished the season well in Geneva, or finished the year. I'm not sure that there ever is a season anymore in jumping. Again, already looks like he's a little bit more on the front foot in terms of the pace that he's riding at. Ooh, just never really took off. I suspect they're going to be absolutely fine with the time, so there'll be no changes to the time allowed, I'm pretty sure. The idea is that it keeps them moving. And with the last going down, he ends up on a total of 8, Brian Basiga, there for Switzerland. It was just a very unusual moment, really, going into the combination. We'll get a replay of that exact part of the course, I'm not sure, but just ended up looking, as I say, if the horse just didn't really... Yeah, here we go. Just never really got a good jump, sadly. Well, you're going to tell every time one of the German riders comes in tonight, because the volume goes up about 10 notches in this arena, and I get it, I really do. Nothing better for these jockeys than jumping at home, I can assure you. Marvin Jungle, the 24-year-old, this young man trying to make the most of a big opportunity here this evening. Don Corleone Z is the name of this 9-year-old, one of the younger horses in the class. There are a few 9-year-olds in tonight, but of course, stepping up, they've only just turned 9. And this is a horse that is jumping in its first 155 here this evening. So it's all about moving forward, and that trust gets built as they work up through the levels. Certainly showing to be very capable over the early fences. I don't think he'll be the only one to have that fence down tonight coming off that corner. Certainly again showing there's 0 issues with the clock. They've worked that out pretty quick. So 4 though is the score. It is just that one fence down. I think that's going to be the story of the night. A lot of 4s. Little moments. It's a very jumpable course. You can see just lost a little bit of balance coming off the corner. He just lost that rhythm ever so slightly. And I wonder how much of an impact that had as he's tried to get going again. Right, we move on anyway, because from one from Germany to another, Max Honhorst, another of the young stars, 25 years of age. Lily Rose JT de l'Elimine Z is by Luigi de Clips out of a Lancaster mare. Now this mare is 9 years of age. Again, he's sort of stepping up a little bit here this evening. Having, say, jumped many 155s, if any. And of course Max here, his brother Mick, rode this horse at the Europeans Young Riders back in the summer. The 12 so far. That is a tough final fence, isn't it? It really is. Coming off that turn, you've had quite a long run to it as well, and it comes up quite quick off the corner. Very open, those slightly bizarre sort of trees that are wings. And with them being quite solid, I would suspect the horse's eyes perhaps focus a little bit more to the wing than they do to the sort of fillers or the plank and the gate in it. So, still the best round we've had is that opening round, that 3 penalty score from Antonio Vitapinardi from Italy. Now, Felix Hausmann. And this for Germany is Vithagos V sorry, WZ. Now this 10-year-old gelding by Vivant, out of a Dargos mare, has jumped in quite a few 155s now, and in fact comes here off the back of Frankfurt in December, where these two were third in the Grand Prix together. Had some good results last year, jumping at 3 and 4 star in Grand Prix together. So far so good. Now coming back into the combination here for Felix. Now the final fence gets thrown a little forward in the saddle. He is absolutely fine for time. He can take it as he needs to, and he's jumped it clear. There's your opening clear. Well done. Felix Hasselmann then from Germany. Dargos WZ is the first to go clear. I think we'll get a few. Always good to be the first to know you're in. Mission accomplished. He'll be first to go. The jump off, it is a straightforward jump off class this evening, so you come back in the same order to which you have gone clear, I believe. I mean, that final fence is a monster. Right, Geir Gulliksen. He's been in great form. What a run. I mean, he's one of the most talented jockeys in the sport to come, of course, from Norway. He's been a huge ambassador for the sport over the years. And, of course, his son and daughter, in fact, Johan's here, actually, isn't he, jumping as well. And Vicky as well, doing such an amazing job. But he's had a really good run this winter. The horses have been looking absolutely superb. This is Island VG, who was 5th in the World Cup in Oslo, his home leg back in October. I'm pretty sure Ireland was the one he didn't take to London, but London he was in great form again. He was constantly up in the ribbons and up in the money. Island VG, now 13, this gelding by VDL Zorocco Blue. Unfortunately, he's had a fence down. Oh, this is a horse that Kim Emmon rode as well. Maybe I'm sure I remember that. The clear rounds are not going to come easy. It's not as if the gate got opened and they've come through again. Felix Molstow's the one and only clear as Geir Gulliksen jumps the last and in to time as well. So he's added 1 to the score. It becomes a total of 9 with Island VG there, the Norwegian star. And we'll see how Johan gets on a little later down the draw. So sitting on the 1 clear so far. Big jump over to that triple bar. He was very committed going in. It's, I believe, 8 meters 10 is the distance in there. Well, we turn now to one of Germany's biggest stars in equestrian sport. One of the greatest riders of his generation, all-round equestrian superstar. What he's done in eventing is, you know, perhaps makes him the greatest ever, really. Certainly he's up there. But of course it's show jumping as well, where he shows us and reminds us how good he is in this sport as well. He did that a little bit earlier, €30,000 ranking class. 1 round, faults in time against the clock. Who came out on top? But Mikkel Young. What can he do this evening with this horse? Tonight, the 9-year-old is Fischke Heros Z. Now this gelding is by Hotspot. Jumped 3 at 155 previously, including in Geneva, which was the last time these two jumped, where they finished in 6th. They also had a top 10 finish in the Grand Prix in Poznan. Crafty. Very, very crafty. It is what it says on the screen. Nicely done. Very nicely done indeed from Michael Jung, as he does. I mean, what a day he's having. He'll be over the moon with the way his day has gone so far. He can't do anything wrong. But when I mean, confidence will be running high, I'm sure, as well, as the horse is just jumping brilliantly for him, and can't ask for more than that, really. He'll be happy enough with the way his evening has got underway. Now it's the turn of the young man from Italy. This is Giacomo Cassidy riding another 9-year-old. This mare is called Longines. Vigorasi. Ooh, hang on a moment. That wasn't the plan at all, really, was it? What a shame. I hope they're all okay. I mean, fingers crossed they'll be back on their feet, but a really unusual moment for the pair of them. You sort of presume from the round of applause that they're all okay.
The Range Rover Cup,
Well, Michael Jung leading as it is. We have that one fast clear, 64.65 with his cheeky little turn up the inside. Felix Hasselmann sitting in second, also clear, 68.73. And it's Antonio Vita Pinari sitting in third on a 3 penalty score, 74.02. Apologies for saying this was a jump off class when I read the wrong thing a little bit earlier on. Of course, this is a one round Fulton time, but it's onwards to Theodore Boris. Leopard is trying to chase Michael Jung, whose cheeky little turn was so well thought out. We'll see if the others can work it out as well. Oh, that's frustrating. Now, on the total of 12, Theodore Boris, the Israeli rider, jumping the last with Leopard. And he finishes on a time of 75.7. Now, his score is total of 12 there with that horse. The 10-year-old by the great Grandorado Tien. That's some lovely breeding there. Grandorado out of a Verdi mare. It's the kiss and cry, as they call it, where the grooms, the supporters, the owners, the friends, and everybody will watch on and pretty much jump the course with them. So Mikkel Young, 64.65. Now, the Finnish rider. This is Nicolas Arma. Kaskalinas is the next to go. Ooh, coming to an unpredictable early stop. Again, this combination have only jumped 155 before, but they've jumped a few 150s, and they were jumping well last week in Nishliat Dos, in the 2-star, which they used as a bit of a warm-up to come here. This Range Rover class tonight. Still got a long way to go, 40 still to come forward. It's a shame they've had that stop, because they've gone on and jumped an absolute cracker around afterwards. Which, in all, oh, how, stay, please don't. Oh dear. Not the plan. He nearly stayed. I mean, he's finished. His air jacket's gone off. He's absolutely fine, apart from the fact he's covered in sand. I mean, fair credit to the pair of them for getting over the last fence. I mean, that was a horse. Kaskalinas was like, I'm doing my best. I really am doing my best. And he, after that early stop, they jumped such a cracking round. They've made it look quite simple. And then, yeah, well, the final fence was not so simple. But those air jackets really are something special, aren't they? And of course, as are the rules, once you have crossed the finish line, you are actually allowed to fall off. It doesn't affect him being able to go into a jumble situation, but you know, his score stands. And that was the strange one early on. He had that stop. It's a very weird, open-looking fence. But like I said, the rest of the course, the horse, and you know, both Nicolas and Kaskalinas were jumping brilliantly. I'm not sure. We're not going to see a replay of the last. I get that, but. Anyway, most important, they're both absolutely fine, and there is still a positive to be taken from it. I Will Be Famous is the name of this ride for the Austrian rider tonight, Bianca Babitz. She didn't have the best afternoon. Now with this 13-year-old gelding, will be hoping for a better evening by Babalu VDL. Very experienced Austrian rider. She rode at the World Championships back in 2022. Out of a Lux Z mare. More than capable of this sort of height. She had a very good Salzburg, also Frankfurt, in the 150s with this horse. Oh dear. Not to be tonight. they finish on time to add to the jumping. So in the end, it is a total of 10 for Bianca Babinett, and I Will Be Famous. Mikhail Young still leading, 64-65. Felix Hassman sitting in second. But it's a jumping competition first and foremost, as it should be for 105,000 euros. You've got to be able to leave the fences standing as well as find a little bit of pace. And the only one that's really done both is Mikhail Young. Felix, of course, achieved the clear, but just isn't quick enough. Now the turn of another of the German riders, Mario Stevens. Tonight would carry 22. The 12-year-old mare by Christian, this Oldenburg mare, is out of a Collier Ruben mare. Used to be very experienced at this level. But he's a horse that had quite a bit of time off after Aachen. Didn't really come back again until the middle of December. They'd, of course, had a pretty decent spring, because I remember them being third in the Grand Prix qualifier, the 150 qualifier for the Grand Prix in Hamburg. Well, crosses the line on a score of 4, sadly not able to deliver the clear, although would have been time-wise 67.06, sort of puts him into 4th. He's the fastest of those two on 4. Oof, they were just too far off. You could see it. Lovely way to be able to watch it from above with the slow-mo. Well, Stig Gerdat next to go. Lance Lotter is his choice this evening. He's always got such an amazing choice when it comes to his horses, because he's got such a brilliant team. And the mare tonight, she's now 13th by Falconos Lancer. Top 10 finish in the Grand Prix in Basel last week, having won the Masters in Mechelen back prior to New Year. Keeping them standing, and he's keeping things moving. He has never really over-jumped this particular horse. There's certainly benefits. Is that just gone? I think it might have done. It has. Such a shame. It really, because she normally benefits. I think Steve very sort of particular when he uses her. He didn't jump her since Stefex came back in Mechelen. Of course, they had a win together in that 150 at Stefex back in the end of August. She's a superb ride, superb jumping mare. 62.34 as well. I mean, he's just explained to the rest of the field how you go and beat Mikhail Young's time. He's absolutely demolished it, but he hasn't been able to do it by leaving the fences standing. I wonder if he'll end up being one of the quickest times, and just be frustrating that there's one fence just coming through here. He was going through so quick, he almost missed it. He was just a little bit forward through the first part of the combination. Well, we go to the Japanese star, Aiken Sato, here with Shandelano JRA. A man that has, of course, been a leading light in Japanese jumping, a multiple Olympian and championship rider, and his 15-year-old Chaco Blue gelding of the Japan Equestrian Federation. top 10 finish in Frankfurt in the Grand Prix. We saw them last week in Basel as well, didn't we? They, of course, also had that 4th place in Oslo when that followed off the back of the 2nd place in Arena Nova, where they finished 2nd in the Grand Prix. Oh, he's done it. He's jumped the clear as well. 66.39, holding my breath to the end and didn't want to be the curse. So Aikin Sato has gone into 2nd place for the time being, at least. He's a couple of seconds back on that time of Mikkel Youngs. I don't think he'd be too worried, to be fair. I think he'd be pleased with the way that Chandelello has jumped. Well, next to go is the Danish star, Sodomali-Roda. Sodomali-Roda here is next up. His horse this evening is Grace. Grace Ask. Twelve-year-old mare. Ooh, it's had an early fence down. On the 4, turning back to the combination. Well, unfortunately, also then had to finish with a score of 4. A little bit steadier as well in terms of the time at 70.53 for Sodomali-Roda then. And Grace, the 12-year-old there, by Darko de Revel. Any more still to challenge? Still only 3 clears out of, what have we jumped now, 15 combinations? Really good bit of course designing tonight from Frank Rothenberger. Now Neve McAvoy, the young lady from Ireland, who is a real star, rising star, as well as been a very competitive jockey. Of course, has been tremendous success throughout the youth ranks with many medals, but of course she's also been producing some brilliant young horses up through the levels, including winning championships and medals in Larnacan at the World Breeding Championships already in her career. And I mean, she's still only 22. This is Olympic GL FVD, 12-year-old, gelding by Galisko van Pramel. And of course been part of the Nations Cup team in October in Villa de Frontera, where the Irish won, and she was also then 2nd down in Spain in that ranking Grand Prix, the 4-star Grand Prix. I'm sure there'll be big hopes coming here this evening. What a partnership those two make. They really are something special together. It's such a great run last year with some brilliant results in Dublin. And when she's been given the opportunity, she really is able to grasp it with both hands. 4th place here tonight, 69.82. Finding that balance between wanting to go quickly, wanting to jump clear, knowing there's a lot more to come over the next few days. The big target has to be Sunday. But you can see how happy she is. Of Great partnership, those two make, Lee McAvoy. Keith Ennis's Olympic GLFVD. Now, to the first of the challengers for the Netherlands, Aral Hultenzijn, riding Carlsen. W3. The 11-year-old. By Comme il faut. Out of a come on mare. Sort of stretching out, losing a little bit of shape. So we're trying to grasp a little bit for the distance. That back rail at the end of the 3 strides is about 1.60 meters wide. It's one of the widest parallels on the course. Coming home on a total of 8. Should be okay with the clock. So it is just the 8 penalties for the first we see of the night. There's more to come from the Netherlands, but Aral Hultenzijn there, Carlsen W3. Pushing 2 fences down. Mikkel Young leads the way. Aikin Sato sits in second. Felix Hasselmann in third. Nick McAvoy in fourth. 4 clear rounds leading the way. The German legend on 64.65. Up and down they go. Leipzig's most famous supporters. They will have a flag, I can assure you, for whichever nation is coming in the arena, and they're ready once again with the Norwegian flags, because it's now the turn of Johan Sebastian Gulliksen. They are very well prepared. Johan is riding the 12-year-old Canelo. It's gelding by Calestis out of a San Patrione Cassini mare. Was in Basel last week. So a pretty solid few weeks. We've jumped better than the Golden Drum last week in Basel, having jumped some good rounds in the 150 and 155s in London as well at the London International Horse Show just before Christmas. We saw them also performing well in Verona. But I'll build them up, they'll knock them down. And getting caught with that. It's quite a narrow little fence, isn't it, when you come off the corner? The poles, the German flag poles there. Now, coming round the corner to the last, time penalties is going to be part of this. He's really been taking his time. It's a very much a bit of a schooling round, a practice round in a lot of respects for Johan Sebastian Gulliksen and Cornello. Hasn't gone the way of the Gulliksens tonight, the 2 Norwegian riders. Plenty of people around and about. It's going to be a busy weekend. And of course, it's not just jumping going on here, of course, driving as well. Tonight, Sarah's going to be here with you, taking you through the wonderful world of the World Cup driving. And that's going to be a big night of sport, and it's all here for you on FEI TV. Olivier Robert, France, next to go. And this gelding he's got is Iglesias, and Iglesias is, again, a really experienced ride of his, this gelding, by Quasimodo van der Moldendreef. I mean, they've jumped an awful lot of classes together, these two. course, they've been on teams on numerous occasions. And if they can just make it work, it can really come together. I mean, they had the top 6 finish in the Grand Prix in Basel last week. They jumped well in Coruña, where they were also well placed in the World Cup leg. It is the sort of combination that can put a really smart round together, and they're doing it at the minute. And he's going to come on the inside line. He's found Mikkel Young's turn. And he's nailed the jump to follow. Right, game on. The chase is on here. 64-65. Come on, Olivier. Got a lovely jump in. Little bit of an adjustment, though, in the middle has caught him out, and it's become a really expensive combination. In fact, that line turns a clear round into a total of 12. Oh, he jumped the last, and where's the clock? 64.71. He would have been, well, that's a tenth, not even a tenth. Look at that. That's 0.06 of a second behind Mikkel Young, and I would suspect he would have pushed a little more round the corner had he not had the poles down just prior to that. So that's 2 really that we've seen come close, but with fences falling, both Olivier Robert and you'll remember the other, Stig Gerdat, both sort of coming unstuck courtesy of not being able to deliver the clear round. Now, potentially a big chance for the Dutch, you would think. He always seems to go quite well here. He had a win last year here. Jurre Reeling back inside the world's top 100 again, and he's got Grand Slam VDL. Of course, this is stallion Marlon Zanatelli, the Brazilian rider we've seen with this horse on numerous occasions in big classes and competitions over the years, but the last time would be going all the way back to Paris last year, I think, when Marlon finished riding this horse in year. So he'd be their 4th or 5th show together. They did have that 2nd place though in Frankfurt in December in the qualifier for the Grand Prix, and with the way he's jumping this at the moment, it's like they are ready to maybe go one step even higher, because he's really pushing on at the moment. Beautiful balance that this man has in the saddle. Lovely way he's able to get the horses just to move so freely, and this is really going well here. Jurre Reeling, if you jump the last, the likelihood is you'll lead the way. He really is enjoying his return to Leipzig. Oh, cracking stuff from Jurre Reeling. The Dutch in front, and the long-time leader, Mikkel Young, is at long last pushed into 2nd place. He's got away with it with 2, but Jurre Reeling's thumbs are certainly up. Those 2 are getting on rather well, aren't they? Getting a lot of appreciation. He's certainly well loved here, and great place to be. That was the turn. That was the one you needed, and then open power to jump that wide parallel at the end of the 3 strides. If you've turned up so tight and short, because you know you're going to land short. Well, 63.72. We go on and to Belgium. This is the turn of Frederick Viennet now. Arc de Hark T and L. 12-year-old by the great Tobago Z. Beautiful rider down in your Doises. This is out of a Toulon mare. Combination usually pretty consistent. That they jumped on a few 3-Star Nations Cups last year, and they did get in. Pretty sure they were in the jump off. I'm pretty sure in the Grand Prix in Mechlin. Well, he's committed. I should remind you, there is over 100,000 euros in worth of prize money tonight. It's a class that you are wanting to win, but again, that first part of the combination is just riding that little bit short. And of course, they're trying to push on to get through it, because then they've got that big wide spread coming out at the end. So Frederick finishing on a total of 4. Rick, Derhamerick, T and L. Just keep you in the loop. We are going to take a little pause when we get to the halfway mark here this evening, and that would be 5 away from the halfway mark. Right to Ireland once more. Of course, one Irish clear came from Niamh McAvoy. Plenty of experience here with another from the world's top 40. It is Dennis Lynch and his long-standing partner. This is Brooklyn Heights, now 17 years young, and this gelding by Nabab Derev. Been such an amazing part of his stable, of his and Molly Ostrom. And still as good as ever, and can be awfully competitive, as we know. Jumped very well in the Grand Prix in Basel last week, as they did in London. Another to find their way onto the middle part of the combination this evening. Dennis Lynch and Brooklyn Heights. So it is Jörg Vreeling, Mikkel Jul, Icon Sato, the Netherlands, Germany and Japan, the 1, 2, 3. Well, Jörg Vreeling will know the reputation that comes with the man that goes next, because it's the turn of the world, number 10. Julien Epillard tonight has Easy Up de Gandry, the potentially fastest rider in equestrian sport, has certainly consistently showed his pace. What is he able to do here this evening? He had an absolutely cracking win in a very similar class to this in Coruña back at the start of December, as he also did in Rion. Just floating his way. Look at that, tight into the triple bar, confident coming out. It's been really good to watch these two over the course of this winter, because they have got stronger and stronger, and unfortunately he's going to be looking for a fast 4 now rather than a fast clear. Crossing the line on a total of 8, Julien Epillard showed again that he even at a relatively steady rate for Julien, because he never really looked like he was having to overly press. 61.78 was a very quick time. I was just looking back, it was quicker than Stig Gerhardt's time, so actually that 61.78 is the fastest that anybody has got round the course so far this evening. But when it comes to clears, Jörg Vreeling is the clear that leads, because he's the fastest of them all on a 0 score, and there are only 5 of them that have achieved a clear round tonight. Now the turn of Frederick Tillman, back with Germany. That's the next to line up. Riding here with Class Pour Toll FRH. 10-year-old Rylander Bacanthagos out of a Valladolid mare. That he's brought up through the ranks and produced himself. Very good national rider, Frederick, in Germany, and very good when he gets his opportunities in the international events as well. Delivers the clear. Oh, very popular. Frederick Tillman, clear round. It is only the 6th of the clears. It goes into 5th. He's, what, just about 4/10 faster than Lee McAvoy. But he's ticked the box there in a big, big way. Making this audience very, very happy indeed. Yeah, he did what he needed to. Just didn't take the unnecessary risks on some of the turns. Riding with him, riding alongside. But into 5th. Right, now, world number 20, Max Kuhner. Blues de Aveline, this beautiful gelding by, is it Babalisini, out of a Correal mare. Of course, was a long time ride of Gerrit Nieberg's until about 2023, and then would be last year. Max had a ride on this horse, but then we didn't really see them together until the beginning of this year. They've had a pretty, well, I say this year, I mean last year, I'm getting confused. Should we just go with 2025? Max was looking for the turn, didn't get the right stride. It's a shame. As I say, they can be quick. They've put in some decent 5 stars over the course of last year. Crossing the line on a total of 870.89 is the final time for Max and Blues d'Aveline. One more to go before we take a little pause in the proceedings, because we'll have hit the halfway mark after the next to go, at which point we will be taking, from my understanding, a little break for arena maintenance. To take us up to the break, it's a chance for Portugal. Rodrigo Sampiero Pioxoto riding a Ryan AS. Part of the Nations Cup team back in the autumn down in Spain. This combination riding for Portugal. Lovely bit of riding. If they've got the scope, they jumped out brilliantly. Beautifully controlled in the middle of the combination. Might just run into a little bit of a time penalty issue, but to be fair, at the moment, that's not the worst thing when you've only got 6-0 scores. If he keeps it to 4 or less, and he has, it's not going to make a massive difference. 73.21, he's faster by a second than Antonio, the Italian, that went first. So Rodrigo, they're going on a total of 2, goes into 7th place and up into the money tonight with his ride Orion AS. But there is still 23 to come forward, but Jörg Vrieling has set the standard with Grand Slam At the moment, it is the Dutchman that leads the way. Grand Slam VDL, the lovely stallion out in front. Mikael Jung, continuing on a fabulous day with his 9-year-old Fishkihiros Z, is sitting in second. And it is the Japanese star Aiken Sato and Shendelano JRA that holds third place. There's the lineup. 63.72 leads the way. The Netherlands in charge, at least for the moment, but it is a jumping class, as you can see, really. First and foremost, we haven't had a massive number of clears, which is great. But there is a lot of stars still to come. Some big names in both horses and riders, so it's far, far from over. We'll come back in a few minutes' time, live here from the qualifier for Sunday's Longines FEI Jumping World Cup.
Meine sehr verehrten Damen und Herren, eine ganz kurze Raffines, die Stute von unserem italienischen Gast Giacomo Cosadini, die ja etwas unglücklich in die Situation im Parcours hatte. Da darf ich Ihnen mitteilen, alles gut. Es geht ihr gut, Sie stehen mit extra Portion Heu im Stall, aber nur eine ganz, ganz kleine.
Well, the lights are up, we are here, and we're ready to go again with the second half of this competition this evening. This one round falls in time. That is the qualifier for Sunday's leg of the World Cup season. That is the first of two big events tonight on FEI TV, because the FEI Driving World Cup is also coming up a little bit later on. Sarah Dance and the team will take you all the way through that high-speed chase, but we've got a chase of our own. The chase is on, and Yev Reeling at the moment has set the standard in terms of the fastest clear round with Grand Slam 63.72, but now another of the German stars to kick things back off again. It's Philipp Schulze-Tophoff and Carla NRW. Now this mare is by Comme Il Faut, and Philipp is he's never been particularly slow, has he? He's certainly with this particular horse knows how to be very competitive. He was fifth, to remind you, in the World Cup leg in Coruña after having that brilliant win in Stuttgart. Now this course tonight by Frank Rothenberger has got plenty to keep them on their toes, though. They've got to be oh so careful. As we've seen with the combination, it can almost lull you into a false sense of security. Lovely little adjustment, and he's come on that important inside turn. Now you need the scope coming out over the three strides. That is a big stretch, and unfortunately just a little bit too far. That's what makes that inside turn so much harder. Well, over the line, what have we got? It's 73.21. No, apologies, it's not 73, so it's 66.41. My system seems stuck on the previous time. A little refresh. So 66.41, still good enough for the top 10 for the moment for Philipp, but what have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 riders on a score of 4. 6 riders on a 0 score. The other two sitting in between them all on those time penalties. Another chance for the Irish next to go, and a young man that's now part of the Beerbohm stables. Saw Ludger out there walking the course a little bit earlier on. This is Kieran Nallen, the 24-year-old from Ireland. Exceptionally successful coming up through the youth ranks with 2 team gold medals over his youth career at European level. And the horse he's riding here this evening is Casala Blue PS. This 10-year-old mare by Casalco out of a Jacko Blue mare. A pair of them together won the 2-star Grand Prix at Isenbeck back in November. They also had a win in the ranking class in Herning. What happened there? He tried to get the turn, and in the end nearly came a cropper, and that's unfortunately broken all that lovely rhythm that he had going on. It is a small margin. I mean, he went for the turn, full marks to him. It's something he had to do, but it just didn't quite come off, and it shows how tight it is in there. I think there's a lot of good to come with those two going forward. I mean, they've shown us all through the back of last year that can be quick and win classes, and they went for the turn. Tonight they committed, they just couldn't quite make it all work, so sadly it hasn't quite come together. I think had that not happened, he would have ended up being quite quick. Well, the best from Ireland, Niamh McAvoy, one of the clears, sitting in 6th, and there's that moment coming back off the turn. On we go to Belgium. Yuri van Masarova, Verdiamo Z. It's the now 14-year-old Verdi TN side gelding Some very competitive outings in November and December in the 4 stars and the 3 stars in Rouen and in Paris. Included a 4th place in the Grand Prix in Rouen. You can see how the grandstands have just got busier and busier as massive shopping halls, exhibition halls here showing more than just jumping. It really is a melting pot of everything equestrian in Germany here in Leipzig. It's a big night of sport ahead, and this crowd are certainly taking their seats. You know, he's taken the wider line, but at least he's still clear. Comes to the end of the course. Oh, yeah, it reset. He's okay. He is in. Geordie's gone clear. 71.65 inside the 72 seconds, so there's nothing in terms of time penalties. And that is indeed the round that I'm sure been wanting. 0 is the score. Very nicely done. So 7 on a clear. Yeah, Vreeling still the quickest though. 63.72 is what they've still got to try and beat. It'll be interesting to see how this combination go against that leading round. Well, number 15, Simon Deleste, is the next to go, and this is Gatsby Dutillard, the 10-year-old stallion that he started with in September. Former rider Benny Nassins. And they had a pretty solid start to their time together. Of course, they went out to Verona and that 3rd place in the 155 one rounder there. They jumped well in Coruña. They had the 4th place in Geneva. Geneva, to be fair, was a good show for them. As was Basel last week, where they never finished outside the top 8. So, yeah, Vreeling could well come under a little bit of pressure here from the French rider. And he has certainly gone for it. He is pushing from the beginning. He's made that brilliant. Look at the way he jumped that. He jumped on the angle, so he jumped into the gap. So he was able to keep the flow, the rhythm that you know, that momentum is so important. So is jumping all the fences clear. And it's a fence that Simon's had down. That Longines fence isn't really a fence we've seen fall all evening. I'm going to have a funny feeling he's going to go and show us that he was quicker than Jörg Vreeling. In fact, he's not only quicker than Jörg Vreeling, on a score of 4, he's the fastest of them all. He's faster than Stig Gerda. So the 2 French riders, both Simon on his 4 and Julien Epilard, to remind you, who nobody's been around as quick as Julien, who unfortunately went round for a total of 8, haven't been able to affect the leading positions, and it means Jörg Vreeling is still holding on to the top spot for the moment. Must be a German rider. Turn now. Old Patrick Stuhlmeier. He's riding Quintero Blue PS, the horse he's got here tonight, Chocomola bred. 12-year-old by Veron out of a Chaco Blue mare. This was the former rider Sacha Nygaard, and Patrick, again, pretty new to the partnership, only really a couple of months old, and this is, I think, about their 4th show together, and they did pretty well in Mechlin. They're going pretty well here because they're out of the combination. They're still clear. And this isn't going to be too bad in terms of time. I'm not quite sure how high up they're going to get, but that is into fourth, I would have said. Patrick Stillmeier, 66.95. It is indeed a top four. He's not that far off Aiken Sato. Certainly got a good couple of seconds, or nearly a couple of seconds, on Felix Hasselmann, who's now dropped into fifth. Clear rounds beginning to rise in terms of numbers in this half of the draw. But the top three, Jevreeling, Mikael Young and Aiken Sato, haven't changed yet. There's the team watching on from the side. Plenty of eyes keeping a close watch on what's going on. As next in, it is the turn of another for Germany. Paula de Boer-Schrotz now with My Miss Marple, OLD. 12-year-old by Milo Cadago. Second in the Grand Prix in Isenbeck last month. They've had a very good run with that event in Isenbeck, both in November and in December. Sadly, that's an early fence down. Frustrating having that one fence down so early on as well, because again going on and jumping a really nice round, but there are plenty more on 4 than there are on 0, and there's another that adds to that list. Paula de Boer-Schrotz there with My Miss Marple, OLD, for Germany. 67.72. I mean, time-wise, that's a top 5 performance on the clock, but not once you've had a fence down. Drops down into 17th place. 17 still to come forward in this class. Well, the Dutch are leading with Jevreeling. Now the turn of Michael Greve riding Denver. This was his ride from the European Championships in Coruña last year, and of course has been a team horse. It was an individual, well, he rode as an individual at the Europeans, but I mean they jumped on a few Nations Cups for the Dutch. I think coming of Arken and Spruce Meadows off the top of my head. More recently, though, they jumped very well in Salzburg, where they were second together in the qualifier for the Grand Prix. Now, back round with the triple bar. Well, they do come home on a total of 4, 64.50 again. I mean, time-wise, that would have gone second. And of all the poles to have ended, and he caught it in front, of all the poles to have down, it was the back rail of the triple bar. Shucks. Jeroen Gris is the next to go, back with Belgium. Garissa LS Elite has been quite a ride, quite a partner to Jerome over the course of last year. Plenty of really solid finishes on the global tour and in many of the big 5 stars that they went to. He's had a little bit of time off, this horse, since jumping in the Super Cup and the Super Grand Prix in Prague. And coming back with a score of 4. Getting to the end, and an end on a total of 4. Jeroen Gary 70.13 then for the man from Belgium. As he finishes or goes for the moment down outside the top 20. Best from Belgium, Jordi van Nistelrooy. He's the one clear round from Belgium so far. Yeah, reeling the best of them all. Leading the way. Again, it's a different fence again. That fence on the end is not one we've really seen go down. Fence 3. It is quite a big upright coming quite early in the course. Now, my favourite chestnut mare, it's Jurina J, the 12-year-old. By Cicero Z Van Paramel, Peter de Vos, of course, in the saddle. Cracking win in the Grand Prix in Coruña. And, I mean, Coruña, they were second on the first day, and they won the Grand Prix on the second day. And that was off. I mean, they had another very consistent year across the global tour. And with many other classes as well. Maybe didn't have the best Mechlin, but see what happens in Leipzig. Not to be. Well, it hasn't worked out their way this evening. As always, tomorrow gets inside on the clock, but steady nevertheless for Jurina J. Peter de Vos getting Jurina's 2026 underway. Still then, the Dutchman leads. You have Reeling holding on to the top spot. We're inside the final 15 now. But the fencers are certainly spreading their problems out far and wide. The list of those on 4 continues to grow, and the choice of fencers that have fallen down seems to, whether it be on 4 or 8, be pretty varied. Now, Leonie Bockmann back with Germany once more. And Carter 10 is the name of this horse. Carter, the now 13-year-old, gelding by Christian. Again, it's an early-ish fence with the fence at 3 going down. In the middle part of the combination, which actually, to be fair, the combination's probably ridden better in the second half than it had done the first half. It caught quite a few out in that first half of the draw. But it is 2 that have gone, 8 that have scored. Leonie Bockmann there for Germany. So Germany with plenty more chances still to come. Five more riders, in fact, for Germany. There's also one for Great Britain, one for Hungary, one for Sweden, one for Brazil, one for Luxembourg, one for Belgium, one for Spain, and one more to go for the Netherlands, and it'll be the Dutch that go next. Can Leopold van Alsten overtake Jerv Reeling with VDL Group Quinibelli, the 11-year-old Toulon mare out of an Indoctro mare? Again, it's the sort of partnership that can turn on a very exciting round. We saw them well up there in Coruña. They jumped well then in Centaur in December in the 150. And again, it's weird now, 3 in a row. They say lightning doesn't strike twice. That fence has been hit 3 times from 3 riders and gone down each time. Adding to the score and potentially picking up time penalties if they come just over. Yeah, just over. 72.97 over the 72, so it is 13. And Leopold van Ost in their VDL group, Quinibelli. But it is the Dutch that lead. Yeah, Vreeling, Grand Slam is out in front at the moment. As the challengers falter. Well, the volume's gone up, which means we're back with Germany. Tom Shiva and Leicester. This 10-year-old gelding by Eldorado is out of an Andy Armo mare. He really jumped one class, this horse, though, I think at this height of 155. This 10-year-old. I mean, Tom, was he about 28 years of age? Well, this combination did finish in the top 5 in the 4-star Grand Prix in Frankfurt back in the middle of December. I think finished 4th in the qualifier there. And so far so good. And he's got a nice forward flow to this. He really attacked the triple bar. Now carefully over the plank. Can he get the inside turn? There's the biggest question. No. Again, it really does force the issue when you're trying to jump across it. It becomes so easy to have it down. Oh, look at that clock. Look at that clock. Tom Shiva, 61.51. I mean, that was faster than Julien went round. But both Tom and Julien Epillard, despite both being as rapid could be, both ended up on a total of 8. And that is the thing. It is, of course, tonight that despite riders having gone quicker than the 63.72, it hasn't happened with a clear round. 4 riders have gone round faster. 2 of those riders are on an 8 and 2 of those riders are on a 4. Is anybody going to hold it all together and deliver it with a clear? Could it be the man from Spain? Amanda Traponte is the next to go. Nasa de Toxandria is the name of this mare. Now she's 13. Armando is certainly no slouch and has certainly got the experience. Taking this ride over from Teresa Vasquez, Abascal. To be fair, we've only had one show together. That came in Basel last week. They had a top 5 finish. And this is a really capable horse, and he's got the inside turn. Here we go. If he can jump this. Come on, NASA. This mare's really motoring. And Mundo's gone with it, although he's had to just be a little bit careful. He knows that it's going to be tough coming through the combination. He's got over the middle. He's got, oh no, he hasn't quite got out. And it's that final, oh, the line. It's got another rider that's going to come up short courtesy of the final fences going down, and 62.52 adds to the list of, 5 that are faster. Although on this occasion he is on a total of 12. 62.52 faster than Vreeling. But once they start pushing, then it really opens up the risks. It makes it so hard. And I mean, he was really careful coming in. He tried to set himself up. But you need such a jump coming out of there, and he just snagged the front rail, and then he lost his shape. He was almost too forward once he got to the final part of that line. Sadly not to be for the Spanish challenge. Now another for Belgium. Their last attempt comes with Rick Heimerich. Of course, Belgium's best is Jordi van Masselhoven, sitting in 8th place. Now Rick Heimerich with Inuit de Seigneur. Now this 12-year-old gelding is by Jensen van Bullenhof out of an Agnex mare. Had that top 8 finish in the World Cup leg in London. Of course, we're also 6th in that 155 in Stuttgart. I mean, again, it's the sort of partnership, give them the right circumstances on the right day. They helped Belgium to the podium in the Longines League of Nations round in Saint-Tropez. He's taken the wider lines, but at the moment still leaving the fences standing, which is, well, still leaving the fences standing despite the risks that he's ended up taking. You're right, in, shorten, over, it's gone. Well, he finishes on a total of 70.11 in terms of his time and 8 as a score. Well, the next again we'll come to in a moment is going to be a really big contender. He really did sort of have a strange shape over that fence there, Rick. But it was the middle of the combi, wasn't it? Or was it? Yeah, it was. He just rolls the pole away. So here we go with Victor Bettendorf. He was second a little earlier on today to Mikkel Jung. Mikkel Jung still sitting second in this class. And this is Dohard of Riverland. Been a fabulous partner, this gelding by Namad Derev for the Luxembourg rider. Of course, he had a tremendous run in London where he picked up win number, I think it was number 5 of the season, or of the year for this partnership. And he had 3 wins in London, 2 or 3 wins in London, a couple of second places. He was the leading rider of the show. Now, he's elected to take the slightly wider line, but Dohard very quick across the floor. But whether that can put him on terms with Vreeling, we'll wait to find out. It's not going to be a huge amount in this. I'm not quite sure he's fast enough to get into that sort of little leading duo, but there is a bit of a gap then back to third, and he could well be about to squeeze his way in. He has. Well, there's a familiar feeling. He's just behind Mikkel Jung as he was earlier on, although on this occasion it's second and third rather than first and second. But it's another cracking performance from Victor and Dohard at Riverland. He took the decision to take that slightly wider route back. And I guess it's playing safe, because you do otherwise make life really difficult over this parallel. But can't fault that. I mean, he's only a 2/10 faster than Ali Consata. 8 more to go. Reeling edging up ever closer. The challenges, though, continue, and this is one of 4 still to go in the final 8 for Germany. It's Marco Kutscher, Avatandor S, his lovely partner. This stallion now 13 by Armitage out of a charming boy mare. Second in the Grand Prix qualifier last month in Frankfurt. They had a very good Frankfurt. They jumped well in Prague as well. Of course, we saw them pretty consistent on the Longines Global Champions Tour last year. Careful. Is he going to go inside? He's going to try. You can see how they're having to make the adjustment, and of course it unbalances the horses, and then it makes it so easy for them just to drop a hoof just a little bit lower as they try to twist and turn within their body, and down goes the fence. Nearly home, but he is on that 8. I mean, he's still kept up a reasonable pace. I mean, to be fair, all the 4s have. 65.08 with a clear round would have gone into, oh gosh, that would have gone into 3rd. On 8, it falls down the order, as you can see, for Marco Kutscher. Still Germany sitting in 2nd, though. With the 9-0 scores, 4 of them with riders from Germany. Best placed Michael Jung. And they're still chasing Reeling. And there is Reeling in the white jogs watching on. Now it's the turn of Yuri Mansur. Oh, don't do that, Yuri. This is QH Alphonse and Antonio. His ride of the Olympics back in Tokyo and World Championships in the past as well. Yuri, who had a superb event here last year. And to be fair, with this horse he's had plenty of brilliant results. This gelding is now 19 years of age. I mean, Vatiki is a similar sort of age. He's got a little bit of a trip there, actually, but he's still going clear. I mean, I think it's a testament to Yuri's riding and his horsemanship and, you know, all-round care and understanding for these horses to be able to keep them right at the top of the sport. To have given them such long and successful careers. It's just really nice to see. Thumbs up, Yuri, well done. Clear round number 10 goes into 10th place. Did I mention that? And to be fair, there's another coming in a moment that is another absolute star, and this year, as of January, turned 18, so it's only a year younger than Alphonse that we've just been watching. And it's a certain H&M, Indiana. But again, you know, Malin with this mare has been so successful, of course, championships, where she's been part of the Swedish golden generation with the golds in Tokyo on the team, and again in the World Championships in Herning. And of course, has been able to win some of the world's biggest Grand Prix with this horse, and she's still as good as she's always been. Decided not to go for the turn, though. She's decided to come around the longer way, following the footsteps of Victor Bettendorf on that wider line, not asking more than she needs to, perhaps sensibly knowing that if she can keep up a good rhythm with the money on offer tonight, actually, even if you end up in the top 5, on pace is still going to be a decent result. Although the way she's going at the moment, she could make, well, it is going to be, I would have thought, around that region of the top 5 or 6. Lands over the last. Well done, Malin. Malin Bayana Johnson there, and H&M Indiana goes into top 6. 67.05. A little bit of the percentage game, but again, Sunday's the day she'll be thinking about, and the day she really wants things to come together, and you wouldn't ever bet against them when they're in the field. But it does mean we're down to the final 5 left to go. 3 for Germany, 1 for Hungary, and 1 for Great Britain. Hanlade is the first of the 3 for Germany. Oak Grove's Commander Bond. I did wonder, I was listening to the music thinking, they're playing the Bond music, but of course I hadn't looked at that moment who he was riding. So yeah, it was quite apt really. This stallion is now 13 by Comme il faut, out of a Lux Z mare. So he's produced up through young horse classes, and now obviously pretty established as a his Grand Prix horse. Again, not taking the unnecessary risks of the early turn. I guess this is the benefit of having a slightly later draw and knowing how things are stacked up. You can put yourself still in a relatively decent position if you can deliver the clear. Ooh, it's not going to be clear though. Not now they've tapped that back rail. Well, the clock says 68.61, which would have gone into 7th, but it isn't. It's 22nd, courtesy of a pole falling. But again, it's just another ticked off the list from Jurv Rieling's point of view. The Dutch star edging up ever closer. He's 4 away from the win here on a Friday night in Leipzig. I get the feeling this, though, could be a big challenge if they push. How fast do they want to go on a Friday night, thinking ahead to Sunday? This is Ping Pong van Lendamel, the beautiful gelding of Gerrit Nieberg's. Reminds me of George. George is my horse, well, our horse. Although, probably doesn't jump as well as Ping Pong. Nevertheless, this is, of course, the combination that took the win on the Longines Global Champions Tour in the Grand Prix in Wiesenbeck, and then went 3rd in Lyon in the Grand Prix, that Longines Grand Prix. Of course, they were also 4th in the Super Grand Prix in Prague. It's an absolute superstar, and Gerrit more than capable. Of course, a former ARCA winner on the wonderful Ben. Got the turn. Now you'd like to think he'd have the power. He just made it look so simple. Yeah, Rieling's going to come under a little bit of threat here, depending what happens in the combination. And it's the middle again. Oh no. That has been such a tough line this evening, that upright at 11 meters 20 and the upright parallel 7 meters 90 has created its own problems. But 64.22 would have gone second. But it is Germany that sits second. Mikkel Jung, of course, still holding on. And we're down to the final 3 to go. Jurv Rieling edging closer. Well, the music's getting louder and louder and louder and louder. Certainly celebrating. This is the replay. Get it, just tiny tap of the toe, and down it goes. Frustrating. Right, Germany's final chance sits with Michael Kotz tonight, the First of these final 3 to go in the draw, and this is Celato, 14-year-old gelding by Celestial out of a Celato mare. Sixth place finish in Poznan in the Grand Prix in December, where they also had a win in the ranking class. So doesn't want to rattle the poles, but I mean it's a partnership that have got pace and should have confidence. And again, electing to just take the wide line, and once they've done that, you know that we know that at that point, yeah, Reeling and Mikael Jung are not going to really be put under any pressure in terms of the clock. To the finish with a clear and into the top 10 with 2 to go. Michael Koltz keeping the crowd happy as Germany get their 4th 0 score of the night, and that's 4 for Germany inside the top 10. Very popular. It's just about 100 or so, a few hundred slower than Frederick Tillman. But we are into the last 2. Vreeling guaranteed a top 3 finish. 1 for Hungary, 1 for Great Britain left in the draw. It's going to be the Hungarian rider next up. So, yep, thumbs up. Well done, Celato. Thomas Maraz now, Vivescent. The Hungarian rider who was with this horse part of the team for Hungary at the European Championships back in the summer of last year in Coruña. It was his 2nd European Championships, having also competed in 2023 in Milan. With this horse as well, he was 2nd in the Grand Prix in Salzburg back in December. So again, it's not the combination you're going to say doesn't stand a chance, and it'll come down to this turn and this ride here. But again, he's elected to take the wider line. But once they've done that, I mean, Victor Bettendorf took the wide line and made the most of it. 66.11 is sitting in 3rd. I mean, Malin went wide on Indy and got 67.05. The others are in the 69s if they've gone wide. That's why I don't think you can get on or into the conversation with the top 2 if you go the long way round. But what you can do is jump a clear and get in the money. And that is exactly what Thomas Maraz has just done, with a top 10 finish guaranteed now, as he's got into 8th place on 69.02 with Vivescent. So keeps the confidence, keeps the jumping going well. And following up 2nd in the Grand Prix of Salzburg with a solid performance here on a Friday night in Leipzig. But there is 1 more to go. Vreeling is almost there. His round earlier today, or this evening, on VDL Grand Slam, Grand Slam VDL, is still leading the way, ahead of Mikael Jung and Fischke Z, and Victor Bettendorf holding on to 3rd with Dohard and Overland. The last to go, I think, is all good to get underway, and it's going to be Great Britain coming in. Oh, yeah, we're going to get one in the arena. Oh, the bells of Big Ben are ringing out. As you can see, Sammy's been allowed to get on in the arena. Last to go, Great Britain. This is WKD Baloo Breeze, the Irish sports horse by Baloo de Rouet, out of a Cavalier Royale mare bred by Joe Sloan and part of the Sycamore Horse Farm, now 12 years of age. Sammy hasn't necessarily just had the, well, I class as the rub of the green over the last couple of shows, of course, Mechlin and Basel, but he was flying with this horse in Poznan back in November when he was second on a couple of occasions there. And I mean, there's nothing. Again, they fall into this bracket of being one of those combinations that if they can bring it all together tonight, can easily put together a challenge. But at the moment, no one's yet been able to overtake Jevreeling, and it's not going to happen now because Sammy's had the opening fence down and the second. Oh dear. WKD Balu Breeze just not settling in to the rhythm at the beginning, and it's cost Sammy 8 penalties before he's even got going, really. And Jevreeling, well, he's done it with Grand Slam VDL. We'll come to that in a moment. You just need it all to go your way, and sometimes it goes against you. And let me just try to finish on a really positive note. Well, you can see it's a full house this evening, and like I've said, this is just the first of a night on FEI TV with later this evening Sarah Dance will take you through the FEI Driving World Cup, the opening drive coming your way this evening because it's a World Cup double-header. And we know, of course, that the next round of the Longines FEI Jumping World Cup comes here on Sunday. But tonight, the qualifier for Sunday goes the way of the Dutchman Jevreeling. We'll be over the moon with the way things are going with that ride, Grand Slam VDL. The 15-year-old stallion by Cardento is showing the class of the field tonight. To win ahead of Mikkel Jung and Fischke said that the 9-year-old of the German great who's already had a win today. Victor Bettendorf already second today, is now third on Dohara Riverland ahead of Japan's Aiken Sato, his best finish for a while. Patrick Stulmeier, Malenbayer Johnson of Simon Delest and C. Gerda that could have been a little different tonight, but they've wrapped up on a score of 4. Ultimately, it's been a tremendous night. Great course from Frank Wattenberger and Christian Weigand, the course designing duo here this week. And it certainly gives us a lot to look forward to going into the weekend. We've got it all here for you from Leipzig, and looking forward to seeing, of course, some great young horse classes. We've also got the championate tomorrow, and then Phil Ghazala and the team will take you through on Sunday afternoon. Meanwhile, from me, I'll leave you alone. Thank you for tuning in on a Friday night. Enjoy the presentation and make sure you're around a little later on for the FEI Driving World Cup with Sarah Dance and the team.
So schnell ist alles abgebaut. Das geht nur mit einem der besten Parcours-Teams. Dankeschön, dass ihr so fleißig seid. Diesen Applaus gibt es noch aus Leipzig. Wir freuen uns über die Range Rover Cup, FEI Sachsen-Garage aus Dresden, das Team Munich aus Leipzig und die Marke Range Rover als stolze Partner und Sponsor dieser großartigen Rennsportveranstaltungen vorzustellen. Range Rover steht als Symbol für Luxus, Exklusivität und Komfort, Eigenschaften, die beim Rennsport genauso wichtig sind wie auf der Straße. Wir bedanken uns bei Emil Frey, Sachsen-Garage Dresden, dem Team Munich Leipzig und Range Rover für ihre Unterstützung. Natürlich gibt es auch eine wunderbare Range Rover Ausstellung in Halle 3, Stand K27. Aber natürlich erst nach der Siegerehrung, denn jetzt kommt unser Ehrenkomitee. Der Kutsche, die uns seit vielen, vielen Jahren begleitet, Familie Meckes aus den Niederlanden. Der Kerl Meckes mit seinem Sohn Derek bereits zum 17. Male mit dabei. Und in der ersten Kutsche, der Vertreter für Jaguar Land Rover Deutschland. Willkommen, Thorsten Schulz. In der zweiten Kutsche, die geschäftsführende Gesellschaft der Longines Marketing GmbH. Begrüßen wir herzlich Volker Wull. Mit dabei haben Sie den 7-jährigen Fuchs Montreal ABC und den niederländischen Meister Hugo. Hugo ist auch schon seit vielen Jahren treu hier in Leipzig und genießt stets
den Leipziger Applaus. Der kann weg ist und Derek. Auf geht's, ihr zwei. Range Rover Cup, meine sehr verehrten Damen und Herren. Hier kommen unsere beiden Sieger. Und meine sehr verehrten Damen und Herren, hier kommen auch Rang 5 und Rang 6. Patrick Stühlmeier zum Beispiel. Meine sehr verehrten Damen und Herren, es war die Qualifikation zum Longines FEI Jumping World Cup, präsentiert bei Sparkasse am Sonntag. Heute der Range Rover Cup. Und es siegt mit 63,72 Sekunden der 15-jährige belgische Hengst Grand Slam VDL und sein Reiter Jur Frieling, Niederlande, Glückwunsch! Liebe Leipziger, liebe Gäste, ehren wir unser Siegerpaar mit der niederländischen Nationalhymne. Ich darf Sie bitten, sich von Ihren Plätzen zu erheben. Ladies and gentlemen, we honor the winner with the national anthem of the Netherlands. Herzlichen Glückwunsch, Jur Frieling. Glückwünsche, meine sehr verehrten Damen und Herren. Zunächst von der internationalen Jury, Bruno Lauscher aus der Schweiz. Bestätigt mit seinem Handschlag das Ergebnis. Von Herrn Raymond Lange für die Emil Frei Sachsen Garage aus Dresden und aus den Händen von Volker Wolf. Und daneben sehen Sie unsere Schleifenkinder, pferdebegeisterte Kinder, die sich nach einem Aufruf der Leipziger Volkszeitung gemeldet haben, um ihren Stars einmal ganz nah zu sein. Amelie, Bruno, Charlotte, Hanna und Raphael stehen neben dem Sieger, dem ehemaligen Mannschaftswelt- oder und der zweite Platz, meine sehr verehrten Damen und Herren, im Range Rover Cup 2026. Die Daumen haben wir gedrückt und 64,65 Sekunden das Ergebnis für Fischer Heroes Z und Reitmeister Michael Jung, Deutschland. Dritter Platz, 0 Punkte, 66,11. Doha de Riverland, Luxemburg, Victor Bettendorf. (66,39) fehlerfrei. Rang Nummer 4 für Cianelano, den 15-jährigen Wallach, und Aiken Sato Japan. Die rote Schleife für den 5. Platz. Fehlerfrei waren Conterno Blue PS und aus Deutschland Patrick Stühlmeier. Und die Mannschafts-Olympiasiegerin und Mannschaftsweltmeisterin auf Rang Nummer 6. Die 18 Jahre junge Stute H&M Indianer und Molin Bayard Jonsson, Sweden. Herzliches Dankeschön an Range Rover und an unsere Partner Iolik Automobile und die E-Mail-Frei Sachsen Garage aus Dresden. Ihnen ist zu verdanken, dass wir diese spannende Prüfung heute erleben durften. Dafür Dankeschön einmal von uns aus Leipzig mit einem Applaus von Ihnen, meine sehr verehrten Damen und Herren. Und jetzt wollen wir Sie feiern. Die Hände sind ja schon aus den Taschen. Für einen großen Applaus auf der Ehrenrunde. Grand Slam VDL. Auf geht's für Your Frühling. Michael Jung, Victor Bettendorf, Aiken Sato, Patrick Stühlmeier und einmal die Halle nur für ihn, Your Frühling. Fertig.
Gehen wir jetzt heim?
Ja. Oder ist noch was heute?
Nee, weiß nicht. Irgendjemand hat noch was von Schunk.